If you look into the southern sky, there's a beer so unique. Hey, do you mind in there? It's worlds apart. Hey, it's Brainmuffin, and today I have a beer review coming right at you, thanks to Nick Utam of WCBS fame. And I'm going to give a shout out to Braden Powers because all women are pink on the inside. And here we have a pink ale, Worlds Apart Ale. This is a hybrid ale. I did sneak a peek at the label, have to confess. And we have a Belgian white and an Irish ale. Now, it says it's a Frankenstein hybrid. What I don't know, is it a hybrid of the recipes, or did they brew them separately and mix them? So that would be very interesting either way. So let's get started. This is from the Georgia collection, and wow, is it? It's already coming out like a nice Belgian white beer. Holy crap, it's got the foam of a Belgian, that's for sure. That's like, it's very light. Oh my lord. Now obviously the color is not pink. That is a very interesting aroma. That's very interesting indeed. Because it's got the maltiness of an Irish ale, an Irish red, so you're going to get with what makes an Irish red red is the roasted malt, but they put a very little bit in there, so that kind of darkens it a little bit and makes it more reddish in color. So it's kind of a blood red, and that's why I really like them. So you'll get real small hints of the malt, the roasted malt, but just hints because there's not enough to make it into a porter. So, I mean, if you're doing like say a 5-gallon homebrew, you might put 1/8 of a cup of a black patent, or maybe half a cup of a dark roasted malt, not quite a black patent, where your grain bill might be 7-8 pounds. So that'll give you an idea of how little you have to put in to get that red color. So man, it's got the foam of a Belgian wheat or white ale, which is a wheat beer. So it's got a nice hearty foam. Most Belgian beers have this really thick foam, and that's from the yeast, obviously. So it's got hints of natural carbonation, but also has hints of artificial. We've got a nice golden color, kind of a peachy golden, maybe an orangey golden. Oh, but my goodness. Wow, that has got both. I'm suspecting they brewed these separately, and then when they put them together in secondary, after racking off the yeast cake, I bet you they put a little bit of priming sugar in the Belgian yeast one. Because on the nose you get the expected fruitiness and hints of banana that you would from a Belgian ale. And there's also hints of biscuitiness from the Irish red. And when you drink it, you get the feel of the wheat beer. They got all those kind of bright fruity flavors. Now there's no citrusness, but there's this hint of this fruitiness that's very light. And underneath there's a malty sweetness, almost a biscuity malt, but it's sweet, which you would expect from an Irish red. And interesting that the color is more toward a Belgian white beer, white ale. It's a little darker than it would be, and it's a little more cloudy than it would be. So it's not from Belgium. It's actually Hoegaarden is from, or Hoegaarden is, but I think it's not Belgium. Isn't that from Holland? So there's this hint, there's a hoppy bitterness mid-mouth, and it kind of mixes with a a roasted malt flavor, but there's a backbone, and then the alcohol, I thought this was only 5%. Because I'm getting, and this is from the Belgian side, I'm getting this hint, not an alcohol burn, but this alcohol-like finish. It starts with a light fruity esters of apple and pear. Well, so there you go. There's a light fruitiness with a slight Belgian spice, rounded off with a subtle caramel malt profile, and ends with a hint of roasted cherry. Roasted cherry. I'm not sure what that would smell like. Oh no, it's going to overflow. But that active foam is for the Belgian yeast right there. That's what that does. You pour it, and it gets really foamy. This is part of why. Ooh. All right. So what am I supposed to get? Fruity esters, apple and pear. Definitely get the pear, but not the apple. Wow. This beer gets a rare 5. And it gets a 5 for several reasons. Number 1, it's very good. Number 2, it's very unique and bold, not in its flavor profile, but in its approach to what it is. This is not a quadruple IPA or a Belgian stout or any of these other things that have been done a bazillion times. But I'm actually gonna ask after I've published my video, because it really feels to me like two beers that were the recipes were concocted knowing of one another, but they are fermented separately, at least through primary fermentation, and then not mixed at the very earliest secondary, maybe not till canning. Because the reason I say that is that they were made separately, is there seems to be two yeast strains here. Even when I look at the carbonation, we definitely have a natural carbonation from the Belgian yeast, but there's some of the bubbles are too large. So that tells me, that makes me want to believe that it's secondary together, primed with sugar, so that it's secondarily carbonated and secondary, both yeast strains, but the Belgian is a little ahead of the other one. Part of why I also say the recipe is known for each other, there's not the expected piney hoppiness that you'd want from an Irish red ale. Now, it's not going to be over the top. It's not a Northwestern IPA or a West Coast IPA. So not that level of pininess. And an Irish red, kind of like a Scotch ale, should have a bit more malt flavor with hints of roasted malt. And you get that, so the hops are gone. So on the nose and at the tip, you don't get any of that hoppiness. It's very late, so it's almost like they made a malty Irish red with no need to be on the nose or at the tip of the tongue, but to show up mid-mouth and finish, where the Belgian white ale is made the wheatness and the wheat in the probably a golden ale yeast, something like that, to give the flavors of the apple and the pear and those aromas early, and then at the back end, the roasted malt that gives it the red characteristics of the Irish red, and the hints of fruit from the yeast mix, so that they kind of bring that flavor profile down, and that's where your roasted cherry's coming from. So I think it said hints of roasted cherry. Yeah, hints of roasted cherry. So that is my guess of how this is made, and I would love to know from the brewery. So Nick, thank you very much. So Nick Utam of WCBS fame, I'll put a link in the description to World Class Bullshitters page. Yeah, no blah 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 Sherlock. That's great. So this is Southern Sky Brewing down in Kennesaw, Georgia. He gave me 6 cans of various beers from places down in Georgia to review. This is absolutely, I gotta know how they made this, because I want to do something like this. I don't want to do a rip-off, but I have for a long time in my home brewing wondered, and I've heard stories where people had made 2 different yeast strains, and they get one that overcomes the other and it doesn't really work well. But I'm wondering if you knew what kind of yeast, what characteristics you wanted, if you brewed 2 different batches with each other in mind, so you got those characteristics, and then you blend them together at essentially bottling or canning in this case, or secondary, so that they start to meld together a little bit. You get a little interplay with the remaining sugars. You get your carbonation going. Man, because the looks of this is more toward the golden, because the white ale is going to look a bit more golden than this. Think of Stella Artois, but not so so filtered. And it's still, even on the nose, there's hints of that Irish running around, but just barely. It's not really until mid-mouth. So this is fantastic. I really like this. I want to find out what else. It's 5% alcohol, so that's pretty low, even though I'm getting a hint of alcohol in the back end. Very nice. Love it. Give it a 5 out of 5. It's obviously not pink, but Worlds Apart Ale. This is an incredibly unique and ambitious idea. Would like to see what else they have also mixed together. That's fantastic. Thanks, Nick. Thanks for sharing this. Please, thanks for retweeting. I really appreciate it. We're in this run to trying to get more subscribers to this channel. We got a bunch of other stuff. I know I keep saying I am getting to it. I'm unemployed for the last 2 weeks, so I should have no excuse. But if we can get a run of about 300 more subscribers, I will not be demonetized. But it's really close. So thanks a lot, Nick. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for all the contributions of Kaylin Webb and I Poop Anakin Skywalker, I think, or I Poop as Anakin, or whatever that guy's name is, or that person. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for the WCBS crowd for coming by, stopping by. Please let me know what you would like to see on this as far as reviews, even in fitness stuff or whatever. I am working on a list of about 5 to 10 beers that are good for starters. I hope to get to that very soon. What I don't know is if I can lay them all out. But on some of my reviews, I have said, hey, this is a good starter beer for this kind of person or that kind of person, so also take that into account. Thank you very much, and we will see you later. Goodbye. Good grief.